Homesteading is a lifestyle choice. Whether you have a large or small space, you can move towards self-sufficiency. Start with what you need and add more as you can. Start small and grow in confidence. Start with the basics and increase your knowledge. At Bryant's Roost, we believe in sustainability, education, and forward momentum. Follow us on our journey for tips, hacks, and insights. We can grow together.
These brooders are amazing. I couldn't be happier with this company.
We absolutely love these cages.
One at a time, okay, guys? Hey guys, welcome to Coturnix Corner. Glad everyone could join us, and I hope you guys are doing well. Joining us today is Bree Patz, President of the American Coturnix Breeders Association. Welcome, Bree.
Thank you.
Bree's going to be going over some of the requirements and the instructions for the virtual quail show that they're running online. But first, we have a few announcements that we've got to get to, and then we'll go ahead and let Bree take over and run the show from here. Okay, first off, shout out to our sponsors. Guys, I am on my laptop still. I haven't got my setup back together yet. You can see that my computer room is now a bedroom, so my wife really messed me up on that one. But anyhow, shout out to our sponsors. Hatching Time, Gopher Ridge Quail, Thieving Outer Farm, and Bryant's Roost. These guys are amazing. They do a lot to help the channel out. They give donations every week to give away here on the live streams, so it is much appreciated. I see a lot of comments over in the Facebook groups, people asking for recommendations on where to buy hatching eggs. Guys, these three breeders here, Gopher Ridge, Thieving Outer Farm, and Bryant's Roost, and I'm not saying it just because they're my sponsors, they are the top of the line when it comes to quail hatching eggs in the United States, so you can't go wrong with them. We are going to be actually, you know what? I'm going to do it right now so I don't kind of mess things up today. We are announcing the winner of the Coturnix Kids Project, which we run over on the Coturnix Corner community. And this month's winner is going to Reed Burton. Reed Burton is 11 years old, and he submitted this little write-up. It says, for my project to help someone else, I made dinner for my friend's family and my family. I thought making dinner would help Mrs. Rachel and my mom. To make dinner, I planned, cleaned, cooked, and then cleaned up again. I chose to make macaroni and cheese, barbecue chicken, salad, and apple crisp. Wow, that sounds good. The hardest part of making dinner for two big families was making sure we had enough food because we both have big families. I also had to make a shopping list and check that we had enough ingredients. Miss Rachel said my mom loved the help. They both said it made them feel happy and loved. I enjoy getting to see both families and getting to see my friends. And there's, you see a couple pictures of Reed over there. Looks like he's working with macaroni and cheese or something. But Reed, I really appreciate you entering your write-up in the Coturnix Kids Project. We're going to have some sponsors for you. Wrong screen, another wrong screen. So you guys, this is what happens when your wife takes away your computer room. Reed, these are some of the prizes that you're going to be getting. You're going to get a 40-pound bag of feed from Homestead Harvest. Hatching Time will donate some hatching eggs. Or I'm sorry, Hatching Time will donate a 2-unit cage setup. Thieving Outer Farm is donating some hatching eggs. Bryant's Roost supplies a incubator. You're going to get a Coturnix Kids Project tumbler and a Tractor Supply gift certificate from Coturnix Corner and the Coturnix Corner community. And Sunny Place Homestead donates some water, some feeder, and whatnot. So, Reed, I appreciate it. I've already talked to your mom. We've got everything set up. I'm going to get with the sponsors tomorrow and get your stuff shipped out to you ASAP. All right. And thanks again for the entry, Reed. It was great. And I also want to say thanks to the judges over on the Coturnix Corner community. Every month they go through and read all the entries and select one. We've got a panel, I think four or five judges, and they go through and they select one and give that to me. That way it doesn't look like I'm doing it. So, okay, where are we at? We are going to be doing some giveaways today. We have a 30 count of hatching eggs from Gopher Ridge. It's HP Murray. Bryant's Roost is also donating a 30 count this week and a $50 Hatching Time gift certificate. So we're going to have three winners today. I'm going to give Thieving Otter Farm a break because she's donating eggs for the Coturnix Kids Project. So guys, what I'm going to let Bree do is select the winner. So Bree, if you can select three people from the comments section as we're going through the comments and questions, and just make a note of it. We'll get to it at the end of the show.
Sounds
Another thing that got it, okay. Another thing that we do, guys, and I haven't done it in a while because I haven't gone live. We do a thing called the farm intro, which is basically we introduce a farm each week that is kind of like up and coming. They're not on our breeders list, but they are farms that are showing really good quality, and it's farms run the way I would run a farm if I was to, have a big farm. But anyhow, if you're interested in having your farm listed, you can send me an email to terry@coturnixcorner.com. Tell us a little bit about your farm, your website and whatnot. We'll check it out. And if we think it's a good fit, we'll go ahead and get you here on the show. Also, for you guys who aren't familiar with the Coturnix Corner community, we just hit 5,000 members, so I'm pretty proud of that. You can check it out at coturnixcorner.com. There's a lot of great people over there. Zero drama. It's a really good community. So check that out. So I think I've talked my head off here and got everything done that I need to say. So Bree, if you're ready, we'll go ahead and start your slideshow, and then we'll jump in and take some questions.
Sounds good.
So are you ready on your end?
Yep.
Okay.
So, as Terry said before, I'm Bree Patz. I run the Pips and Chicks, and we're doing our third annual virtual show this year. So I'm very, very excited for it. We've already got a little over 200 entries, and here to tell you just a little bit more about everything about it. So, got a little bit on what it is, why you should enter, how to enter, some of the dates, more information on judging, sponsors, and awards, and then questions at the end. So starting off, what is a virtual show? So this is one of the pictures of an actual in-person chicken show that I went to. It was Ohio Nationals. They had a little over 12,000 birds there. I've been showing poultry for about 7 years now, and it's always a great time. It's a chance to get to know each other, get to know other breeders, get to know a little bit more about your birds, and to overall learn and grow. So really what it is a chance to exhibit your birds. And with Pips and Chicks, we accept all sorts of different birds. So everything from your large fowl chickens, your bantam chickens, your quail. We've run quail now for 3 years, and it has just absolutely blossomed and taken off. And I've had so much fun with the quail, and I hope to see it grow even more this year. So there is completely no cost to enter, participate, or watch. It's completely free for all of our exhibitors. That was our goal from the beginning, and every year we've been able to do the exact same thing. We want to make it accessible. Sometimes in the chicken world, it's hard to be able to travel. It's hard to be able to go different states to bring birds, to get birds ready. For our virtual show, we really tried to make it as easy as possible. Everyone can do it. And it's not very, what's the word? Some people get worried that the chicken shows and overall poultry shows get very uppity, where it's like your birds are better than mine. the goal for everyone with pips and chicks is to learn. We have people exhibiting that are complete beginners that have never shown a bird before in their life, all the way up to master exhibitors and everyone in between. And it's so neat to see. So basically, where our virtual show works is you submit pictures of your birds. So for your chickens, your waterfowl, it'll be 1 picture per bird. For quail, it's 3 pictures. And then come July, and I'll get a little bit more into that, how you'll submit your pictures later. But our judges will go through and they'll look through all of the birds. They'll point out some of the flaws, some of the strengths, good things about your bird that you want to keep breeding for, things on your breeding program you may want to look at or you may want to watch out for next year, and just to make your lines overall stronger. And we've got a really good lineup of judges. They're very experienced. For our chickens, they're all APA and ABA certified. So that alone is a 5-year licensure process. It's a lot of time to be able to do. For the ACBA, and for the quail side of it, we've got Michael Rose. And if you know Michael Rose at all, he knows his quail. He's one of the best in the United States as far as breeding and genetics goes, and really can make sure he gets, he knows, sorry, my pager's going off in the background, but he knows what he is doing and how to improve your breeding program. So for the virtual show, we have 6 different categories, and it's separated into open category and youth category. So anyone 18 and under can enter their birds in both. Under 18. So if you are 18 or older, you have to enter in the open show only. If you are youth, so you are under 18, you can submit the same birds in both youth and open show. So youth show is judged only by youth. They do a fantastic job. They have separate awards. So you kind of have the double entry there going, which is really neat. And then it's broken down further. So all of the chickens are judged completely separately from the quail, and all of the ducks are also judged completely separately from the chickens. So it just breaks it down a little bit nicer, makes it so that, especially because quail shows are so new, we want to give everyone a chance to be judged fairly by someone that really knows what they're doing as far as quail goes. So why enter the show? The biggest reason, it's free, so why not enter? It really does not take too much to be able to enter. We tried to make it as easy and as streamlined as possible. So you'll get to meet and get to know breeders from all over the United States, especially on the live streams and the judging. You'll get to see all of these different birds, different varieties, people that have put in a lot of time in their birds, and some people that are just there to have fun. They may just be starting out, people that may be near you, maybe far from you, and all of them absolutely love their birds. That's the one thing that kind of brings everyone together in the virtual show. And so after the judging is complete, we release all of the exhibitors and who entered what birds, so you can see and get to talk with them and get to know them a little bit more. You get feedback from Michael Rose. So again, a really good breeder. If any of you are part of the Quailology program, you know just how much knowledge he has to share. And this is kind of a chance to get feedback on specific birds and specific things that you can do to improve. During the judging, it's free and open for anyone to ask questions on a live stream. So even if you haven't entered any birds before and you just have some basic questions on why he's placing birds up, you can always ask and throw it in there, and he'll be able to answer it live in between sets, and in between different categories and classes. It's a chance to win awards, so we'll go into that a little bit more later. You can see this is Lily Brezak here. She's one of our youth large fowl winners. We have ribbons, plaques, cash awards for different winners. Usually all of the class champions will be guaranteed awards. All of the champion overall birds will be guaranteed awards. and then some of the best of varieties in quail and the different breeds in large fowl and bantam and waterfowl will also have additional ribbons and awards on top of that. For all of our ACBA members, you will get points for your breeder recognition. So we started a point system with the ACBA for all of our members, that you get points for how many birds you show, you get points for how many birds you're going against, and if you win awards. And at the very end, if you get a certain total or above, you get different breeder statuses. But you do not need to be an ACBA member to compete in the show, to win any awards. They're completely separate. You can see, it's kind of fun to see how you're ranking up against other breeders. What are some things you can do to improve? I always find that every time I go to a show, I'm learning something new. I'm learning how to improve. And while it is nice to win an award, I find I learn just as much and have just as much fun when I'm not winning anything. It's not cutthroat. It's not very, there are some amazing birds out there, and it can be very nice to see your birds win on to the top and know that your breeding is paying off. But it's not like these breeders aren't going to talk to you because you're not winning awards. It's really, we want everyone here to learn and grow and to create better quail. And last but not least, it's a good chance to have some fun, spend time with your birds, get used to handling and photographing them, and I find it makes a really good excuse for me to be able to go out and just sit in front of my quail pen for a couple hours, and enjoy them a little bit more. And that's just something I really, really like to do. And when you get into the shows and into the show world, and the virtual show especially, it's just an excuse to go and do that a little bit more. So how to enter. So for quail, it's a little bit different than our chickens and waterfowl. We do it very, very similar to the Australian virtual show, and some of the other virtual shows, just to give our judges a little bit more to go off of. So for chickens and waterfowl, you will just need one photo. You'll need your profile photo here in the middle. So you want a picture of the bird standing from the side. They're trying to see the shape of the bird and the conditioning, and you want it head to toe. So you want to be able to see the feet and the top of the head and everything in between. For quail, we need 3 pictures. So you need your wing spread picture, like your top one here, and you want the wing spread ideally tip to tip. You want to be able to cleanly show the back plumage. You're going to be able to see what the judges are looking for here is a little bit of the shape, how much meat the bird has on it, the size of the bird, but they're really looking for that patterning and that conditioning. And, is this bird really run down and ragged, or is this bird have good feathers in? It looks to be pretty healthy. You can tell a lot of that from the wing spread. So from there, you're looking, your second picture is the profile picture. So same thing like chickens and waterfowl. You want them head to toe, standing pretty naturally. The wing spread, you can have some hands in there to hold it. It's really, really helpful to have a second person to help hold the bird and take that picture for you. For the profile picture, you don't want your hands in the photo as much. It helps. I'll go into tips and tricks and how to take these pictures in a little bit. But this is a really good way for the judges to see the shape of the bird. So they're going to be looking at that muscling in the breast, how that bird stands. Can it stand on its feet really, really well? Is it standing in a way that shows it's not hurt, it's healthy? Is it holding its wings in nice, so its wings developed properly? And then your final picture will be a frontal picture. So they're looking at the head and the breast of the bird here. So you can kind of see that head shape in there, because the head shape, believe it or not, it's kind of neat, is actually a really, really good indicator of how well that bird is going to grow. So a different shaped heads, you'll see this a little bit more in chicken breeds, can indicate how lean or how big a bird can be. And you want a nice even medium in there. So you can see that bottom picture is a really good example of a frontal photo. So you can see the breast meat starting to get in there a little bit. You can see the head, the eyes, the beak, and the neck going into there. And it's just a chance for the judge to also see a little bit of the color. So moving on. Once you have your 3 photos, you'll need to put one file. So the easiest way to do that is to make a collage. We don't want to lose track of your photos or accidentally mix up which picture goes to which exhibitor and which bird, especially when you've got like 30 pharaoh in the same judging thing. If you had 3 photos and 30 pharaoh all separate, that's 90 photos you're having to keep track of. So when you submit it in a collage, it makes it so much easier for us to keep track of, and we know right away that this is going to you. And I keep track of the exhibitors and who enters what birds on my back end. So there's a couple different collage makers. It's honest, it may sound daunting. It's really, really not. I have some videos up on Facebook and on YouTube on how to create a collage. You can make one in under 3 minutes. PicsArt is a free one. You don't need to like log in or sign up for anything for PicsArt. If you're on your phone, Photo Collage is a great one. Again, also, all of these are free and easy to use. Canva, you can make a collage. Google Drawings and Pixlr, all of those are different options to put the 3 photos. And they don't have to be arranged pretty. They just have to be in one file. And if you would like to do more than 3 pictures, if you want to do another picture of how the bird is standing, or maybe a close-up of some of the wings, you can definitely do that. But you need that minimum of 3 pictures. And if you want more pictures, they all have to be on that one file. Each of the birds you can only enter each bird once, except if you're youth. If you're under 18, you can enter the same bird twice in youth, one in youth and one in open. So if you're a little unsure about if you should submit it or not, you can throw it in that one file, and then you can upload that one whole thing. You shouldn't have to submit a form more than once for one bird. And once you have your 3 files, you'll upload them. Again, we tried to make this as easy to do as possible. So you'll go to the virtual show page, the website. It's on my Facebook page. It's ourpipsandchicks.wixsite.com. You'll go under 2024 virtual show. If you scroll down a little bit under entries, and again, I have a video that walks you through step by step. In under 5 minutes, you can submit all of your entries. It's very easy to do. You'll click on the Open Quail or the Youth Quail link right here, and it'll take you to a Google form. They ask you some basic information like what your name is and your email. Those are the only 2 required things that we have. You have to have a name and an email. So if you win, we can get a hold of you. I don't send spam emails, I promise. But you can also put your farm name if you'd like. There's a spot in there to put your farm or business name. So if you win and you want to be recognized under your farm name, we can absolutely do that. And we have some demographic information, so you can also put your state and your age if you want to. That's completely not required. It's just kind of neat to see the map fill in with all of the different states. And then you'll scroll down and you'll click next. And then there are each page afterwards is going to be a different class. And you'll see this form down here in this bottom portion. I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but if you can, it'll be this form on the bottom left. It says Open Quail Entry Form. This is the wild type class. The way we did it this year was a little bit different. So we've got our main classes. We have fawn, we have EB, we have pharaoh, and we have any other. And it's separated by color, but the birds are judged only on type. So they will not be judged on color. They're judged for production and type. And I'll get into that a little bit more. And then like under wild type, we've got all of our different mutations. So you've got like your plain pharaoh, like your falb fees will be under wild type. Your sparkly pharaohs will be under wild type. If you're not sure what your bird is, shoot me a message. That is completely fine. And I can help work with you to figure out what it is. And if I don't know what it is, I've got a whole host of people that I can reach out to, like Rebecca Lynch with Thieving Otter Farm, Tamara Roswell, Kadia Gali, all of these people that I can get a hold of, and we will figure out where your bird should be entered. So if you're at all confused at where, like what class it should be in, things like that, send me a message and I'm more than happy to figure it out. Once you get to this open, like your class page, say you want to upload wild type, it says add file, you'll click that and it'll pull up this little upload box. If you have it on your computer, you'll click the upload from your downloads. Otherwise, you can upload from Google Drive too, if you're a little bit more tech savvy and you use Google Drive a lot. And you can upload up to 5 birds in one variety at once. So you can upload 5 plain pharaoh at once, or 5 falb fees. We have 0 entry limits, so if you want to upload more than 5 of them, you can resubmit the form again. But the way the Google form is set up, we can only, it will only let you upload 5 files at once. And each file is, remember, 3 photos in a collage, so it's formed in a collage. Each file will be 1 bird, 1 entry. So you can enter as many times as you'd like, as many birds, as many different classes. We have 0 limitations on how many quail you can upload. And then you'll be able to just go through and click submit, and it'll bring you to a little end page. I normally don't send out confirmation emails unless there's something wrong with it. So if it's disqualified for any reason, I'll send you an email just saying, hey, it's disqualified. And here's what you can do to go ahead and resubmit it. If it's not disqualified and you get that confirmation email, you should be good to go. But if you just want to double check, you can always shoot me a message and I can confirm that I got that and everything looks good from my end. So some of the rules and requirements we have, we're being a little bit more strict this year. Last year we had issues of people using different photos, pictures someone else took. We had someone that sold the bird, so the same bird was entered multiple times. So we just really wanted to clear it up this year, and we're trying to follow this as much as we can, and as I'm enforcing it as much as I'm able to. So the first part is really for chickens, where the photo should be a single profile picture. For quail, it's the 3 profile pictures. You do want the images to be clean. For all of the birds, there is no filters, color distortion, or image altering. The main thing we want to stress is we don't want you to alter the shape, color, texture of the bird. We want this bird to look as natural as possible. Small things like lighting adjustments for like the overall background or putting a blur on the background, that is okay, but we don't want any blur on the bird. We don't want any part of the bird being altered or changed in any way, shape, or form. And it's usually pretty easy to spot what the difference between like touching up lighting or touching up, like cropping the image down to like cut out someone's hands so you don't have hands or face in the background versus we're actually going to change the shape of the bird. And then you must own the bird for the duration of the show. So the show starts, we're accepting entries now. And then we started May 1st and we're going until July. So you need to own the bird for the whole time that entries can be submitted from May 1st to July 1st. We just don't want you to sell the bird and someone else to enter the same bird. That causes a little bit of chaos in there because, if the bird wins, who should be awarded the prize, things like that. So you must own the bird for the whole show. You also must have taken the photo after August 1st of last year. So we don't want people submitting the same photo year after year after year of their bird. If you've taken a picture last year over the winter, say in November, absolutely you can enter it. We just ask that it's after August 1st. of last year. So we want them to be pretty current on what the exhibitor is currently breeding and doing. You must own the rights to the photo. So that's usually a no-brainer, which just means you must have taken the picture, or if you had a photographer, like if you paid a professional photographer to take pictures, or you went to a show, sometimes they take pictures of birds at shows. You just have to have permission from the photographer to enter it. So again, we don't want you to steal someone else's picture at all, or say you bought a bird way back when you bought a bird in January and you used a photographer or the original breeder's photo from December. That's a no-go. You have to take the picture, or if you hired a photographer, you have a photographer that took it for you. You have to have permission from them. One of the other big things, no personal identifiers. So this one trips people up a little bit. We don't want our judges to be biased at all. So when they're looking at all of these birds and they're placing them, it's completely removed. They have no clue who the exhibitors are. And that's on purpose. We don't want even the possibility of them being biased. Well, we know our judges are very fair. If you know any of them personally, you know they're great people and they will try not to. They definitely wouldn't intentionally pick someone else's birds because they know them. We just want to take that extra question like that even off the table. So no farm names on there, no logos in the picture, no watermarks on the picture. We do put our own watermark on it. So if we post photos on Facebook at all, or on the website or on YouTube, wherever we're posting photos, they all will have a 2024 virtual show watermark on them. So there's no worries about it getting stolen. And you are more than welcome to put a watermark on after. If you'd like us to take a photo down and put it on with one with your watermark, we are more than willing to do that. We just ask for the judging. We can't have any photos with watermarks. The other big thing, we don't want any human faces in the photos. So in the photos that the judges are seeing when you submit your birds to the show, we can have hands in the picture, especially for that wing spread photo, but nothing more. We don't want t-shirts, things that you might wear. We don't want to see hair, faces, things like that. We're trying to keep it as unbiased as possible. And some people don't want pictures, especially in youth, pictures of a kid shared for everyone in YouTube to see. So we try and keep it so that as unbiased, no people in the picture, makes life easier for all of us. We also don't allow previous awards in the photos, in the entries that you have. So we don't want to see ribbons. It's more of a thing for chickens, because a lot of people will take pictures of their birds at the shows and they'll have ribbons hanging from the cages. We try to avoid that. The cage tags where they'll say what show they're at, we want that out of the picture too. For quail, it's less of a problem because most of the time we're taking it at our own house. And we just, again, we really want to keep any possible bias out there. Even if a judge can be completely impartial, but if they see this bird next to a giant trophy, you tend to think, oh, that bird won before. We want to avoid that. One of the other big things, we want the images to be clean, crisp, good quality. We do have size requirements, but if you're taking a standard iPhone photo or you have a fancy camera, all of those will fit well within the size requirements, and things like that. Basically, the photos that you take and enter are just reflecting you as a breeder and as a person. So try not to take like dingy pictures where, the bird is kept in really dark area. Take him outside where it's a little bit nicer out. You want to show your bird in your best light, and you want to show and reflect on yourself in the best light too. So try and take accurate, well-representative pictures that show you as a good breeder and as a whole. The entries are subject to disqualification, so we do want to put that out there as a disclaimer. The judge can disqualify an entry because they don't see all of the parts in the bird. And usually if it's disqualified beforehand, before the judge will even see it, I'll send you an email and explain why, and you have a chance to resubmit it. When it comes to the day of the judging, we really don't have time for you to resubmit it because it's being judged right then. So just to keep it fair, the judges do have discretion. If they have issues with anything in the picture, they will say when they disqualify it. But it doesn't happen too often. Most of the things are completely accidental. Person doesn't realize their face is in the background or they're not thinking about it, and I'll send them a message long before the show starts and they can resubmit it without the face in there. So again, most of these are pretty common sense, easy to follow. We don't want to make it a whole big thing or hard to do. We want as many birds as possible in there to see it. So some photo tips and tricks. So these are Rebecca Lynch last year did a whole live stream on how to take the best pictures of your birds. So if you want a really in-depth discussion on it, and she did a really good presentation about good versus bad photos. I would highly recommend going back on there. It's in Coturnix Corner. It happened about a year ago. I can post a link to it as well. Fantastic information on there, lots of tips and tricks. These are just some short ones. It really does help to have an extra set of hands. You can do it with one person. It's a little bit hard. Some of the pictures on my website, I've got one hand holding 3 birds for wing spread pictures. It's possible. It's just hard, and it leads to a little bit more stress on everyone. So extra people around are always really helpful. If you find your birds are pretty flighty and they're not used to being held, which is completely fine, it can be helpful to have a butterfly net on hand just to catch them if they get away from you. Be prepared to delete. So, I take hundreds of photos and I'll keep maybe 5. You get these really nice pictures that you're seeing on here that I've been taking. And what you don't see is all of the ones that I haven't shared. So just know that you're going to take a lot of pictures. A lot of them aren't going to turn out just because the bird is moving or maybe the bird pooped. That's pretty common. Don't stress out about it. Just be prepared to take more than you think you need to, and then you can always go back and delete them later. Lighting is another really big thing. Barns tend to not have great lighting, just by the nature of it. They're big, spacious areas. That's a lot for light to come through. So light boxes. So this photo is taken in a light box that you see here. Cloudy days are your friend. So that soft, indirect lighting makes for great pictures. You can do it with harsh, and if you're doubting it, more light is usually a little bit better than no light. Try to avoid flash. Flash does not look good on your birds. They tend to wash your birds out. They make them look a little bit more like, I'm trying to find a good word for it, but they tend to make them look just a little bit less worn down, or a little bit more worn down, a little bit less professional photographer. And again, you don't need some fancy camera. The pictures I have up here are ones that I've taken on my professional camera. Your iPhone or your Samsung works just as well. They don't need to be professional. Just a nice picture is what we're asking. So now that covered number 4. Phones are just fine. Your phone can take really good quality photos. You just want to make sure you have your lighting. And if it has a sport mode, that's usually really helpful for taking pictures of animals that tend to move. Tables are also really nice. So I found that if I put them on a little platform, so sometimes that'll be a stump, sometimes that'll be a whole table, sometimes they'll just get a chair. It kind of gives them a little edge on the birds. The birds have an edge that they're a little bit more hesitant to run off from, or they at least have to fly off of the edge, which makes them easier to catch. You can take pictures of them in a cage. That's completely fine. We try and keep the cage bars out of it. So if you have a cage, take a picture with the door open. But cages in the background, completely fine. Sometimes that can make it a little bit easier. The light box is nice because it's got 3 sides in there, so that quail can't really go too far if they start deciding they want to fly away. And the last thing is just to have fun. So we've got our main categories. We also have a fun show, and that is solely for fun photos. That is judged by you guys. Everyone who is watching the fun photos gets a vote on Facebook. It's just on Facebook likes. And that one is just fun, silly pictures. All of your delete pictures, 1 or 2 of those can go in the fun show. It's not meant to be super super serious. Obviously, we want good pictures of our birds, but it's meant to be a good time and to get you out there spending more time with your birds more than anything else. So, some important dates and deadlines to pay attention to. We already opened for entries. So, we are officially accepting entries. Started on May 1st. Go ahead and send them in whenever you would like. June 1st is when we close our sponsorships. So, that's just so that we can order all of the ribbons and everything like that well ahead of time. So, if you are interested in sponsoring, I'll get to that a little bit, but know that you need to sponsor it before June 1st. June 25th is when our free entries close. So everything is free up until June 25th. Between June 25th and July 1st, it's that last week before judges. We always tend to have a mad rush of late entries, and it makes it a nightmare to try and get it because we have to populate all of our birds into the system, and I keep a spreadsheet of everyone and every single bird that they submit. And when I have 500 birds entered in the last day of the show, the last hour or two, it gets to be a lot. So to try and eliminate that a little bit, we made this wiggle room between June 25th and July 1st where we'll have late entries. So maybe you just forgot about the deadline. It happens. I totally get it. The only difference there is it'll be $2 an entry. So if you want to enter, if you don't want to spend any money and you want to be completely free, that is 100% okay. That's what we're here for. That's the point. Try and get them in before June 25th. If you're submitting between June 25th and July 1st, it'll be $2 an entry, so $2 a bird, and that you can pay for that on our website. And it's just something to try and deter that last minute rush that we always get and make it more manageable so the judges don't see, oh, there's 100 more birds than we want. I kid you not, we got 100 entries between 11 p.m. and midnight last year before entries were due. So we want to avoid all of that, make everyone's life easier. Just submit them before June 25th and it'll be all good. So judging. So anyone that's gone to a chicken show knows all about judging. And it's really fun to watch. It's even more fun to listen to and learn from because these people, our judges, are just fantastic. They have so much knowledge, so much information. Last year, one of our judges was the former APA president. He had been breeding birds for over 35 years. And so he was a grandmaster exhibitor, which is the highest status you can achieve. And he had just some incredible information and insights, things that you wouldn't even think about when you're breeding your bird, or things that you may not even know to look for. And so the way it works in the chicken world is they judge based on a book called The Standard of Perfection that the APA puts out. For quail, we're doing something similar this year. So we're judging by the ACBA Standard of Perfection. I've got a screenshot of just the very, very beginning of it. We're trying to keep it copyrighted. So it is only available right now to ACBA members, but our judges will both have a copy of it. It talks about what the ideal bird should look like. So we worked with geneticists and breeders from all over the world. We had people with PhDs, people that are breeding millions of birds a year, people that have been in this industry for decades, looking over everything. This thing was dissected word for word so many times over. And it kind of outlines some disqualifications, some of your defects, and everything in between, what the perfect bird should look like. It has descriptions of all of that. And that's what our judges will be using to determine what the best quail is. So the reason for the standard of perfection is it'll keep it consistent. It's all judged against the same thing, with everyone is subject to the same disqualifications, the same defects, and all of that. It's the I call it the SOP, or the standard of perfection. It's focused not on color. So we actually, there is 0 standards out there in color. The only thing we have is on feather sexable birds. It's a disqualification if they don't have those feather sexable traits. So if you're worried this is going to be some hoity-toity color genetics thing, it's not. It is solely focused on the bird that is going to produce the most and is the healthiest bird. So it's focused on the type, how the bird stands, does the bird walk well so it can get to food, does it look like it could move around, is it alert, is it bright, is it well taken care of, is it healthy? That's what the focus is on. It's not on color genetics. It's not how well, how pretty is this bird. It's how well this bird performs. So we wanted to very much clear that up. And that's all, again, outlined in the standard of perfection. It's available to ACBA members to read. We are open. It's a rough draft right now, so it's open for comments. So, and again, the live stream, the way it'll be judged this year is on a moderated live stream, very, very similar to this, except the judges will see all of the pictures up on the screen along with you guys, and the judges will just be moving them into the spots and the places and talking while they do it. Last year, I think for our youth quail, it took about 2 hours. For some of our big shows, our open bantams there's easily, I want to say last year we had close to 1,000 bantam chickens. That took about 7 hours. So you can kind of skim through. The videos are all available afterwards. The judges just won't be able to answer questions live because they're no longer live. But you can listen to all of day of and you think, I'm not doing anything else, or afterwards and you want to see what they're looking for. It's free for everyone, completely open on YouTube anytime that you'd like. And so while they're judging based on the standard of perfection, if you have questions related to the bird they choose and why, feel free to ask it, and they will always be open to questions and talking through there. The other big concern we have is, how are we going to stop them from being biased? And I talked a little bit about it earlier, but all of the judges have no clue whose birds these are. So your name is not on these pictures anywhere. I have a spreadsheet. I'm the only one that has that. I have a spreadsheet at the very end with all of the names in the URL. So each exhibitor gets their own number, and that number is on the link to the photo. So it's even like one step further removed. The judges don't even know who has entered birds. So they have no idea. They're completely out of the loop until afterwards. At the very end of all the judging, we go through and we have we call it champion row, with all of the top birds on there. And then we go through and we say whose birds those are well after the decisions are made. So that way we keep it completely biased. We don't want someone to be like, not that they would say this, but, Michael just doesn't like this person. He's not going to place their birds well. Michael doesn't know whose birds these are. And the only person that does is the exhibitors until the very end, which is just kind of a way for us to keep that separation. We don't want that to deter anyone from entering the show. Whether you like Michael or not, we want you to be able to enter the show. Mason Fields is going to be our youth judge. So he runs Big Spring Quail. He does a lot with the ACBA, has raised quail for I think 2 years now. He did great. He answered all of my questions very, very well. He showed some really good judgment decisions. And so he'll be judging anyone that's under 18 and entering in the youth show. And those will be on 2 different days. Each category will have their own day of judging, so you don't have to sit through all of it all at once. It'll be broken up a little bit more, but each category, so all of the youth quail will be judged on one day. All of the open quail will be judged completely separately on another. One of the last things we have is sponsors and awards. So all of our champions and reserve champions will receive, so this is like the best quail, the best open quail, the best open bantam, the best youth quail, the best youth chicken, the best youth waterfowl, will each receive a plaque, rosettes, certificates, and some cash prizes. So they're guaranteed to receive plaques, rosettes, and certificates. Cash prizes are dependent on sponsors. For best in class, everyone is guaranteed to get a rosette and certificate. Some of them will get cash prizes, and then some of the varieties will get ribbons. So I think right now we have ribbons for best falb fee in both open and youth, best pearl fee, best tuxedo are some of the different varieties that will all get ribbons. And so the way we do it to keep the show completely free is we have sponsors that pay for the awards. We have premium awards, so those cover the plaques, rosettes, the certificates, and the ribbons. And those are all on our website. You can see what still needs to be sponsored. We also have add-on awards, and they're all we don't make money off this show. I get $0 for putting in everything on this. We're not trying to get money from you if you sponsor it. The sponsors only pay for the awards, and they directly are buying the awards that these people are receiving. That pay for the judges and the live streaming platform that we use. The sponsors will go and they directly pay for the plaques, certificates, rosettes. You can also they're called add-on sponsors. So these are just the premium awards. They're guaranteed regardless of whether or not they have a sponsor. All of our Quail show has all of the premium awards sponsored. If you have birds other than quail and you want to sponsor like waterfowl, we still have spots available for waterfowl sponsors. But we've got a lot of small businesses that are covering costs. Your best in class sponsorship is like $15. The champion, it might be $25 this year, I believe. And then the champions and reserve champions are $50 to cover mainly the plaques. The plaques are the most expensive. But then you can pay for things like best of variety ribbons. So those aren't guaranteed. Without a sponsor, they don't get a ribbon. And same with cash prizes. So you can say, I'd like the best quail to receive $25 more, and you can sponsor an add-on award and pay for that person to receive $25. Completely optional. There's more sponsorship spots open on the website if you're interested in. But it's been really, really neat so far to see all of the different sponsors. I believe we have about 40 different businesses from all over that have paid for awards, and they're not big businesses. Most of them are just small. They've entered the show in the past and they want to give forward to the next year. So really, really grateful and thankful for them. It's been awesome to see and talk with them and get some of their feedback and ideas and suggestions too. So, and that about sums up all I had planned. So I'll answer some of the questions. If you have questions that didn't get answered in this live stream or more things, feel free to send me a message at any time. You can go on the website. There's a chat button on there. Send me a message on that. You can send me an email. You can go to Facebook and message me on there. I'll answer all of them pretty consistently. I check them all at least once a day. So go ahead, message me. I'm always willing to help with if you're not sure where your entries are. If you just are, I want to make sure these entries look good before I submit them. I'm always willing to tell you how it is, give feedback, make sure everything's good to go before you submit them. And like I said, if there's any issues with it, I'll let you know well ahead of the show. So if you submit them today, you've got disqualification. I'll usually tell you before tomorrow, just to make sure that you have a chance to re-enter it. So really want to see a ton of birds. Last year we had about 80 quail entered in the open show. I'd love to get it in the hundreds this year. I think that would be just absolutely awesome. So I'll go through, see some of the questions on it now.
Okay, let me
See what
make sure I got my audio and everything up. You can hear me okay,
12,000 Birds at Ohio was so neat. It's Ohio Nationals, so they run it every single year. It is just a sight to see, and that's in person. So they have cages upon cages. They had 2 barns this year, stacked, usually 3 birds tall. And all of the birds were kept so well. They're all showbirds. Everyone cares very, very deeply about those. And so they're all very, very well conditioned and well kept. It was so cool to see. I had breeders from all over, breeding all sorts of different birds that I got to look at, which is amazing.
Nice. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump over in the chat room.
Judges are very, very well qualified. That's one of the biggest things, is your judge kind of makes or breaks your show. Made sure that our judges were top notch.
Can you hear me okay, Bree?
Deadlines for entries was already covered. Costs, I'm not sure if I froze up or not.
Can you hear me, Bree?
Let me double check and see. Quickly check my phone and see if I froze up. Sometimes my internet can be a little bit wonky.
If you can't comment now, I don't think Bree's hearing me.
So, deadline for entry again. Free entries are June 25th. Final call for all entries is July 1st. So they will be closed at midnight before July 1st. Cost for entering is free, with the exception of your late fees for that last little bit less than a week. Unlimited entries. I can't hear Terry at all, so my volume is on. I can't see Terry. It just says a frozen screen. So hopefully it's just my internet being slow.
Can you hear me now?
And hopefully I'm not talking over him at all.
Oh yeah, you have been.
Can you hear minimum, me, maximum, no minimum. I mean, minimum birds to enter. You have to enter at least 1 bird to be an exhibitor in the show. Maximum, no cap. We do ask for fun show in particular. Just use your best judgment. Fun show entries, we don't want someone entering 100 pictures of the same bird in the fun show, because that's just a lot of pictures to upload and for people to have to vote on. So fun show entries, a good rule of thumb is 1 to 5, probably 5 being more towards the high end on there. For quail, the actual legitimate quail, the more the merrier. So for that one, we only had about 80 entries last year, which I say only. That was a really, really good number and way more than I was expecting. But compared to our bantams who had 800 to 900 entries, there is no limit. I don't know about this video. That's a good question for Terry. Hopefully
you guys can hear him.
Someone said we can hear him. I don't think I have anyone muted.
I'm talking and you're not saying anything.
I can stop screen sharing.
Hold on. Turn off the screen share.
It still shows that I'm screen sharing on my end. I can't hear Terry, and my screen still shows that it's frozen. So, screen share is turned off.
Now can you hear me? Are you hearing me now?
We love technical difficulties.
Hold on, guys. We got to get this fixed here.
Okay, I will sign out, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties on one side. I do see your questions. Okay, Bree's coming in right now. How about now, Bree?
Now I can see you.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. It must have been from the screen share, and
Okay.
this screen must have timed out on you or something. Okay, cool. Let me get back up. We're going to go back in. We're going to jump into the questions. I know a lot of the questions you've already answered, but if you can, the ones that you've answered in your presentation, just go ahead and give them a quick update, just for people that are just now coming in and watching
Yeah.
this. What was the last one you
I
answered? Do you remember?
I can't see any of the questions anymore, so I have
Oh,
no
okay.
clue.
All right, hold on. I will. You already did the deadline for an entry. How about is there a cost for entering?
No cost. So
Okay.
completely free.
Uh,
Uh,
Go ahead.
Yep, so I talked about this one a little bit. There's no limit to entries. Use your best judgment. We want all of the birds, especially quail, we want them to be clean and we want them to be nice. So if you have 100 nice, clean quail ready to enter, go ahead and enter 100 nice, clean quail.
Okay, I want to remind you, Bree, that you're going to select three people. So if you like a question or something stands out that you like, jot their name down real quick, and I'll ask you
Sounds
for that
good?
at the end of the show. Rebel Boxer says, "What's the deadline for entry?" Oh, I think we already
Yep,
answered
so,
that one, didn't we?
yep,
Uh, you just asked this one also. I'll want to know if there's a minimum or maximum number of birds to be entered.
yep, no
Uh,
minimum, no
okay,
max. Well, minimum's one, maximum's as many as you like.
okay. Cargolian says, will this video be to rewatch later? Bree, what I can do is cut out the presentation of just you, and I'll re-upload that, and that way you can share it online if you want on Facebook or whatever.
Sounds good?
Uh, Quail Ridge Ranch wants to know, how do you become a ACBA member and how long is the process?
Yeah, so that one's real easy. You'll go to the ACBA website and you'll click join us. Um, it's $5 for youth and membership, $25 for basic, which is everything included, except for a listing on the breeders directory, and it is $50 per professional membership. So the professional membership just gets you it like on the breeders directory. Usually if you're like a business and you want your name advertised on there, that's a good one to choose. There's no wait time. Rebecca Lynch will have you. She's the vice president, so she'll have you in, and you can access everything on the website within, I'd say, probably a few hours to a day. And then you can join the Facebook page as well. So we've got some good discussions going in on there.
Cool. Gina wants to know, does it matter what color of bird you have?
Nope. All colors are accepted. The only thing that the color is going to play a difference in is where you would enter it. So your whether it's entered in Pharaoh, Fawn, EB, or all other mutations, and that's just dependent on the base pattern. If you don't know the base pattern, because you can't tell, like an all-white bird, that's going to go in all other mutations. And if you have any questions whatsoever where that's going to get entered, go ahead and send me a message, and I'm happy to enter it. And I'm happy to let you know where it would be going. But it's not judged on color at all. It's just how they separate it out to make it more manageable.
Okay, Olive says, does it matter if they're roosters or hens?
Nope, we accept both. And especially on some of the colors, you can't tell. So if you want to put it in there in the description, you can, just to let the judges know it's a rooster or hen, but you certainly don't have to.
Fat Country says, what are some reasons for disqualification?
Yeah. So the photo, obviously, we went over the disqualifications from like the secretarial side of it, things like you are in the picture as a person, or the picture is blurry, you can't see the bird very well. As far as like the standard of perfection disqualifications, those are all major things that prevent like the bird from producing well. So things like a prolapse, because if the bird prolapses, they can die from it. Can die from an infection, and it means they can't lay as much. Um, Things like they can't walk or display put their weight evenly on their feet. That's another pretty big one. So blindness is a disqualification. Some more nuanced ones are like split wing. So if it's missing, it's called a little axial feather in between their really long primaries and their short secondary flight feathers on their wing. There's this one little feather called the axial feather. It's really important to the structure of the bone in that outside of the wing, and their flight. So that's a disqualification if they don't have that feather in there. And you can usually see it. There'll be a really big gap between their primaries and their secondaries. And then like basic leg issues, swollen joints, if the bird, trying to think of some other really big ones. When their beak is cross-beaked, that's a disqualification. Some of the less significant ones, so like missing toenails or they're plucked bald on the back of the head from breeding, those are just a few point deductions. So there's a scale of points in there. Each part of the bird is worth a certain number of points. You may lose a few points if it's missing a toenail, for example, because it shows the bird may not have been kept in the most ideal conditions, but it's still pretty good for breeding.
Okay. I did put up the website to join the ACBA. That is coturnixbreeders.com, correct?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Rebel Boxer says, what if the bird dies of natural causes after the entry is submitted?
That's completely fine. If you butcher a bird after it's submitted, also completely fine, whether that's quail or otherwise. The biggest thing is we don't want you to sell that bird and someone else to own it. If you sell it as meat, they can't enter it in the show. So it's not an issue to us.
Okay, Alice says, should leg bands be removed before photographing?
Leg bands are completely fine, as long as it doesn't have like your name on it. So I have like Pips and Chicks leg bands, so I have my logo on it. I wouldn't want to use those, and that would be one of those cases where if I need to put tape over the leg band so that they can't see my name on it. If you're just using zip ties or numbers on that leg band, you are completely fine.
Okay. Corgolian says, will jumbos be judged alongside or have their own?
As of right now, they'll be judged alongside. Eventually, as the ACBA keeps going, we might have like specific classifications for, we would call it breeds, where jumbos would be judged completely separately from bantams. For right now, just because we don't have a lot of bantam breeders in the United States and it's not super established, they're all judged alongside each other in the same sections.
Okay. Olive says, will this be a good opportunity to see what we can improve on with our birds? Will positives and negatives be mentioned for each bird?
Yeah. So this is the whole reason we started it. It is a great chance for you to see not only in your own birds, but everyone else, what makes a really, really good bird and how to get there. So I talk to the judges ahead of time. The judges can see the birds usually a few days before the show. They'll get to go through and look at them all on their own time so they can write notes on them. Because of the sheer number of birds, when you get 900 birds, you're not going to be commenting on every single one. But you'll get statements on why it placed lower. And if you have questions and you're watching live, you absolutely can ask, say, hey, my bird, or like the bird in third place, why was it in third over second? Or you mentioned something about this. Can you clarify that a little bit? Could you give more explanation here? And they'll absolutely stop and do that. So I can't guarantee you'll get positives and negatives on every single bird, but you will get reasonings. And usually especially because the quail show is a lot smaller, and we've got a lot more time to go through all of them. You get a little bit more in-depth feedback of, I'd really like this bird to have more meat here, or I'd like it to walk with this a little bit more, but I really like how the wing is held, and I like the shape of the beak because of this. So you get that a little bit more in the smaller section, like the quail show is.
Yeah. Is this just for quail or chickens allowed also? Or?
This is for all APA recognized birds, so your large fowl and bantams and waterfowl, and then we're including quail on top of it. We also have fun show and showmanship.
Quail Ridge Ranch says, what's the website or Facebook to get more information and sign up?
Yeah.
Do you have a
The
specific website for the, that's the Pips and Chick website, right?
Yep,
Okay.
on the Pips and Chicks under the virtual show, we've got information on the show in general. You can see what all of the past shows looked like. Our very first year, we just had photos. We never did a live stream for judging. They just put like written comments on each photo. So that's up on the website. You can see the live streams from last year. And then you can see this year, currently they have like all the entry requirements, and I have the total number of entries up there as well.
Cool. Olive says, will there be a place to see who is a sponsor?
Yeah. All of our sponsors are featured on our Facebook page, so they get a post. All of the sponsors get their own post. And then on the website, you can see who has sponsored all of the different awards and what all of the awards are.
Okay. Hannah says, if we have a nice quail but has scarring, will that be a disqualification in the fun show?
So the fun show, we don't have any disqualifications outside of the standard. We don't want you in the picture. And even some of the other restrictions of like your whole bird has to be in the picture, that's not there for the fun show. The fun show is just silly pictures of birds. But for the actual quail show, scarring wouldn't be a disqualification. It might be a couple points deducted, depending on where it is and what it's from. So we don't want in the standard of perfection there we have a section that says we don't want any signs of, we call it faking. So like surgically altering a bird. If you're cutting bits off a bird to move them to other bits or something like that, to change the shape or the look of the bird, we don't want that at all. But if it's like a natural, they have a little line on their cheek from maybe they were pecked or they were scratched, it might be a point or two off out of 100-point total, so it's not huge. But it is considered a point deduction.
Olive wants to know, it says, am I correct in thinking that birds with flight feathers trimmed would be docked points but not disqualified?
Let me double check really quick. I believe we said it was not going to be a disqualification. I know in the APA, so the American Poultry Association, it is considered a disqualification because birds should have the ability to fly. Let me look really quickly. I can pull it up. I think we just put it as a points deduction and not a disqualification. Yep. So it is a 2-point deduction for wings that are docked to prevent flying, because flying is a character trait of quail. Being able to flush is important, but 2 points out of the overall 100 for a bird. I think it's taken out of condition and vigor. So it's taken out of the overall conditioning score, which is 10 points total.
Okay. Southern Lady Z says, is it okay if the entries are hatched from shipped eggs, or do they need to be bred by us? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely okay if they're shipped in eggs. If and it's okay if you buy the bird. You just need to own the bird for the whole show. So there are people in the show world that'll buy a bird for one season and they'll raise it and they'll take care of it and they take it to the shows. It's the same thing here. So not frowned upon. Usually if you win awards, it's not a rule. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's recommended that if someone else bred the bird, you give them credit for it. So if I buy birds from, say, Bryant's Roost and it takes champion overall quail, I give credit to them because they put in the decades and the lineage behind that. I say decades, but quail decades.
Sure.
But not required.
Okay. All right. It looks like we're down to the bottom of our questions.
Yeah.
If anybody else has any more questions, go ahead and get them in real quick. Bree, have you come up with a list of winners yet?
Yeah. Do I need 2 or more than 2?
I need 2 for hatching eggs and 1 for a $50 hatching time gift certificate.
Okay. So the hatching eggs, I'm going to do Olive. I don't think there was a last name on there.
Nope.
And Hannah Bishop. Both of them had some great questions in there.
That was Hannah.
Yep.
Okay, and I also need 1 for the $50 hatching time gift certificate.
Yeah, for the gift certificate, we'll do the Southern Lady Z.
So, okay, you guys, if Bree has called your name, I need you guys to email me your information to terry@coturnixcorner.com. I believe our moderator has posted that somewhere in the chat. Yeah, Carrie, if you're still in there, if you could post that again real quick. Otherwise, I can copy it and paste it. I'll just copy and paste it. Okay. And a whole bunch of congrats to the winners.
Everything froze up on me again.
Oh, really? You're not frozen up on my end, so it's probably just your computer. Uh-oh. Bree just took a dive. Let's see if she calls back in. Yeah, there, Bree.
There we go.
Yeah, you just froze up for a second. Okay, cool. We got the winners. I don't see any more questions, and it's about 20 after 8, so we're going to go ahead and just pull the plug on this one anyhow. Guys, I am going to be editing this video for just the part where Bree was talking. I'll upload that as a second or a separate video, and I'm sure we can share that over on the social media sites also. One thing, Bree, I did have a quick question: is when and where is the live stream for the winners or whatnot?
Yeah, that'll be posted on the Pips and Chicks YouTube. I don't post too much on there, but the judging will all be on there. Dates are to be determined yet. They're based on when our judges are the most available. So
Gotcha.
stay tuned for that. That'll be determined likely before June.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Bree, thank you so much for coming on. It's always great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I kind of look forward to the show. I wish I had some quail to enter right now. I got a few Rhode Island Reds.
Oh, yeah, throw them in there.
Exactly. All right, guys, again, thank you very much for joining us. If you're available Sunday, don't forget to check us out over on the Morning Musing shows at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. Things for me have kind of settled down around here, so the live stream should be a little bit more regular. But yeah, don't forget to check out Bree's website. What is it again, Bree? Our Pips and Chicks?
Yep, at wixsite.com.
Okay, check that out for the show information. And what is it on Facebook? In order to
just Pips and Chicks.
Pips and Chicks over there on Facebook. So, guys, thanks again for joining us, and we will see you Sunday, if not Sunday, following Tuesday, a week from today. Thanks a lot.